Hello and welcome to another Royally Rich Lifestyle Show with me, Ian Pelham Turner.
And with me, Helena Chard.
Well, we've got some incredible guests on today and incredible royal news as well.
We have. Very excited for our AI section, I have to say. But
absolutely.
we shall get on with the royal news.
Absolutely. So let's just roll the titles and let's get on with the show. Well, as always, Helena's got some great royal news again, so take it away, Helena.
Take it away. I'm going to start with the Prince of Wales. So, Prince William, he yesterday was presented with a fabulous, huge birthday cake. Well, it wasn't a birthday cake, a big purple cake with the number 20 on it. And this was to celebrate his time as patron with Centrepoint. So it's been 20 years, can you believe it? Centrepoint being the homelessness charity, famously supported by the late Princess Diana, Prince William's mother. So William was welcomed. He had a tour of the place in honour of the milestone. But what was exciting for me was not just this big purple cake, but there was a wall of hope that Prince William helped design. And none other than artist Lanre Oligoku, MBE, yes, that we know well. He was there. He has helped design it. And of course, seeing Prince William, I thought, I know that face. And of course, we're friends with him, and he's been on our show. So we were really, really thrilled. And also remembering he also was part of the New Year, the King's New Year's honours in 2024. So that was good. And he's always helped people access the arts. Yes. I think he's actually he's a painter. He's taught himself. But he works with lots of young people, and he really works towards homelessness too. And so I was so excited to see him. So congratulations.
Who's eating that cake?
Maybe they all
did. Why is it purple?
I know.
Colour purple.
It was purple. It was Juliet Sear who was the person, the baker, who presented it to William. And I know that he was chuckling because it was so huge. But you know, it's. When you think back about it as well, it's something close to Prince William's heart. He absolutely loves Centrepoint, and he's now that Prince George is 12, he's introducing him to Centrepoint and also to what's the other charity that he used to go to with Diana. But I mean, it means so much to him. So that was really exciting. And back in November, Centrepoint predicted that 23,500 young people will be homeless during the winter period, which is absolutely incredible. And apparently they received their 50,000th call last month. And that was in less than 8 years or something like that. So it's quite incredible. What are your thoughts? Isn't it amazing?
I mean, it's very interesting, but I'm more interested in this cake. So there's a lot of interest at the moment about who is going to go to Sandringham, who is going to have Christmas with the royals this year as well. And I'm wondering whether or not this cake may be, as we speak, making its way to Sandringham, and this might be the Christmas cake of all Christmas cakes for the royals this year. What do you think? I
think possibly. I mean, Juliet Sear surely will be absolutely, the baker will be thrilled beyond belief, and I'm sure the royal family will be too. I think everyone's rallying around King Charles this year at Sandringham, so it's going to be lots of twinkles and fun, and love and hope, I think, is going to be the moral of it all. But also remembering Prince William and his recent working towards homelessness as well. So, and that's in homewards, as we know, and he's focused on 6 areas around the UK, and as far as I can see, it's going very well. Yeah, so good. What do you think? Do you have anything to add to that?
No, I hope it is. As you know, I spent a period myself when I was less fortunate than I am today.
I do remember.
So I think it's very important, especially right now and especially in this cold weather. I mean, it just seems to be particularly cold, dark and wet at the moment.
Absolutely. And I've just remembered the Princess Diana used to take William to the Passage, it's called, which is not that far from Centre Point, but he used to visit and, does a lot of good around that area. Yeah. So all very good, but something that I'm going to move on to, which always thrills me. So this is anything glittering. I love anything glittering. So obviously Princess Catherine is always glittering, and she was belle of the ball recently, glittering at the German state banquet dinner. And I have to say I marvelled how she kept this tiara, which was absolutely huge, on her head. But I think there are some sneaky pictures as how which makes sense, how a little bit of her hair sort of tied to the back of the tiara, so it sort of keeps it stable on her head. But this was a particularly big tiara that was designed for Queen Victoria by her husband, Prince Albert. And I hadn't thought, obviously that's the German connection, isn't it? So yeah, it was absolutely wonderful.
I know you've been hankering that Father Christmas might bring you a tiara this year, but please don't think of that on that big.
It's going to be a look-alike tiara, I know, but that's fine because it will still twinkle. I'm sure it will look, because it's going to be a copy of one of the royal ones. I'm not sure which ones yet, but I will debut it on this show. But she was also wearing this wonderful periwinkle blue a fantastic Jenny Packham dress, which looked absolutely wonderful. The late Queen's earrings as well she was wearing, and the Royal Family Order of the Garter sash. So all very beautiful. And obviously, I always think, I'm always talking about Princess Catherine and her dress, but obviously King and Queen were equally wearing eye-catching designs. Camilla was wearing a lovely green lace evening gown by Fiona Clare, and she also had the tiara on, which is the Girls of Great Britain tiara, which has got such a history from the late Queen Mother. And it's called Granny, I think. That's the name of the tiara, which is absolutely beautiful. So there we go. So St George's Hall in Windsor was beautiful and glittering. 45 metre dining table, gleaming under 58 candles. 20-foot Christmas tree and lots of twinkling lights. What more could you wish for?
And I think as well, this time round, unlike Trump, the actual people of Windsor actually saw part of the procession.
Yes.
With the German Chancellor.
Oh, but just remembering something funny as well. So Prince William was actually sat opposite Claudia Schiffer, who's got a different name now because she married, I can't remember, but of course there's that funny story because Prince William absolutely loved Claudia Schiffer and some of the supermodels, and his mum, late Princess Diana, it was a surprise for him. They suddenly all turned up for dinner. So I think he was probably sat there red-faced but quite excited that he was sat opposite her. So yeah, really beautiful. And then moving on to something which has got a little bit more of a charitable base to it. So those seeking a distinct Christmas present with a charitable purpose, it's something new. You can purchase a stake in a recognised racehorse, and the racehorse honoured the late Queen Elizabeth II, and it's called Thank You Ma'am. That's the name of the horse. So it's the Posh Pundit Racing Club, and they offered shares in the thoroughbred, and part of it's going to help with the horses, but 50% of the money is going towards brain tumour research. And apparently the guy that's instigated this says that brain cancer is sort of often forgotten about somehow. Not quite sure how that can be, but it's £80 per year. That's how much you pay. Mm-hmm. And so members can actually own a piece of the horse. So £40 goes towards the charity and £40 towards the upkeep of the horse, which I think is quite clever. And I can imagine people wanting to buy into that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
And something we always watch on TV, but really lovely to see. So Claudia Winkleman has received an esteemed honour from King Charles, and this was at Windsor Castle, and I think she so deserves it. I have to say, she's always on our TV screen, and she's always entertaining the troops. So she's been awarded her MBE, and that is for her services in broadcasting. So not only has she been doing Strictly, with Tess Daly, and in fact Tess Daly's been doing it for longer. She was doing Strictly, I think, with the late Bruce Forsyth. So Tess also got her MBE, but also I think the reason why I'm talking about Claudia is she also is the main person that hosts the Traitors, which is the biggest thing in the UK. I don't know if you've watched it, Ian. It's absolutely fantastic.
Yes.
So the 4th season is going to debut, I think, on New Year's Day, so we're all looking forward to it. And I think Tess and Claudia are really excited to celebrate, and they're going to do the Passé Doble together. Tess didn't even realise that she'd been given this honour because her invite went to the wrong address, and when she received it, I think weeks later, she cried with excitement. But yeah, it's great. I think they've 22 series they've been involved with. They always knew that they would leave together. That's the thing that's happened. But yeah, they've hosted since 2014.
Well,
can you imagine?
Well, we've been actually hosting for longer than that. We've been together now, or doing television work for at least 15 years now.
Yeah, 15 years. Can you believe
Where's
it?
our gongs?
Yes. Where is
family,
it?
where's our gongs?
I know, we need someone to put us forward, I think.
Absolutely.
But I'm just going to end on a couple of royally rich bites. Now, so there are more than 50 carols and Noels, as in the names, have been taken on a festive trip from London to Victoria. Victoria Coach Station, that's what it's to do with. This is something that's been put on by National Express Coaches, and they're offering Christmas Day travel to others with the same name. So there you go. If you're called Carol or Noel, you've got a free trip with National Express Coaches. I have to say, I'm not too sure. I'm not too sure I'd want that on Christmas Day, but you know, it's a good PR thing as well, isn't it? And also a funny one. Are modern homes Santa friendly? I hear you ask, what are you talking about? But there's young children who fear that they'll wake up to no gifts on Christmas Day. This is sort of a bit of fun, not the sad thing. About a quarter of them don't have chimneys, and that's the reason why. So they think they're going to be missed out. And this was a survey that was carried out by British Gas. Don't have all the details, but it's a true little fact. And also, if you would like a little bit of royal twinkle in your home on Christmas Day, you can buy baubles from Selfridges with the royal family's faces on them. And there's Princess Diana, Princess Catherine, you name it, any royal you want, as a little bit of fun on your Christmas tree. So there you go. So all fun and games.
What more can we say than that? We are the fonts of great information on this show.
Absolutely.
So we're now going to show a couple of royal videos that really sort of, I hope, epitomise what the royal family are doing over the next week or so as well. Stay tuned.
I'd say 2024 was the hardest year I've ever had. You know, life is sent to test us as well, and being able to overcome that is what makes us who we are.
Welcome back. Well, we've just seen a couple of really interesting royal videos that are really showing what the royal family are doing at the moment. And now we have AI futurist expert, Raki Brown. Welcome.
Thank you very much, Ian. Nice to be back again.
It is, and it's great to be having you. Can you just give us a little bit of a background of how did AI first start, and what are the values of AI to Britain, do you think?
Oh my God. I mean, AI, it started with computation going all the way back, really. But the most modern version of AI really started with DeepMind, which was founded in London and was then bought later by Google for 400 million. And DeepMind, it was a real shift in terms of how AI was operating. And it was based around gaming and being able to learn a game and win the game. And they did that very well, and they ended up winning against, I think, the then world champion in chess. And then later they won the world champion in Go, and then eventually a DeepMind AI trained for only one day and beat itself. So it's incredible. It just really advanced from there. And then the newest iteration of large language models also came from Google, really, with transformers, which allowed to not only just predict the next word, but predict, several sentences and, much more further ahead. And now there are, I believe in London as well, there's some very good companies that are working with image, and I think maybe that's kind of where it's headed as well into the future. But everybody's using it now, and it just exploded over the last few years.
Raki, how do you see the future of AI, let's just say in the next 5 years? I say 5 years tentatively. We've watched it explode.
Yeah, it's hard to say really, because some people are saying it's a bubble, because a little bit like the internet .com crash, a lot of money went into it and people thought things would develop a lot faster than they actually did. And so some people are fearing that it may be a similar situation, but even if that's the case, we still have the internet. It survived that .com crash. So we'll see how it goes, but the US in particular are putting a lot of money, trillions, into AI and modern microchips and things like that. The US have decided to take a Manhattan Project style approach to AI and make sure that they are number one in AI, because they're competing with China. China is doing a lot with very little, and also have some very great AIs as well that they're developing. So I think it will move forward in about 4 to 5 years' time. We may have super intelligent AI, which means an AI that is smarter than every single human on the planet combined. But we'll see. You know, it's very hard to predict these things. I think you come up against limitations that you don't really realize are there. Maybe computational limitations, maybe software limitations. So it's very hard to say. And I think there are a lot of new methods as well that are going to be introduced. I saw something really interesting with analog AI. And quantum computers are taking a slightly different approach on how to compute. We'll see. There are a lot of different new approaches coming up. I think the future of AI is not one single AI that's going to rule all of them, but I think it's more that we have created a kind of new ecosystem where new species of AI will start to develop and propagate into different areas, different niches, and specialize in those different niches. And it's going to be a lot more varied and complex than what I think people are imagining, in my opinion.
So then we're not sure how it will be, how it will implicate society, how it will affect industry.
I mean, there are some
moment.
things we could potentially predict. I mean, I think white-collar workers may lose a lot of jobs. Again, there's a debate whether these is AI a lever or a lever for people that are working in accountant or working on a computer or whatever. Is it making them more productive and everybody's becoming more productive, or is it literally going to take over their jobs? And then if that's the case, which seems to be headed a little bit in that direction, then I think different nations will have to start considering whether UBI, Universal Basic Income, is then the future, because people still need to be able to spend money, and if they can't work, they still need to have money to spend money to keep the economy going. So some of the ideas with UBI is that you tax the AIs themselves and as if they're people, and then some of that tax goes back into paying people to not work. But obviously we also have robotics coming up for the blue collar workers, but that's probably another 10, 20 years. But it seems to be heading in that direction, but it's hard to say. It may be that it simply becomes a tool that makes us infinitely more productive, every single one of us, or it may take over completely.
So within your own business, it's partly blockchain and it's partly AI. Just explain what you do yourselves in your own business, and the name of it as well.
Okay. So the main business I'm involved in is called FISM.bot. So that's FISM.bot. And we have just created a couple of agents that are using various different LLMs for social media marketing and email marketing. So we can allow our customers or users to create hundreds of social media posts within minutes with AI generated images and everything, very high quality, and it goes out to all your social media. And then the email one, you can send out thousands of emails, but every single one is personalized. So the AI will actually go out onto the internet, look at the recipient's LinkedIn and their website and everything, and it will tailor every single email specifically to them, which means that you get a click-through rate of about 20-30%, when normally with mass emailing you only get about 5%. So it does have a very strong impact. But that's just a beginning for us, because we want to create AI agents that can do pretty much every job within a company, starting with sales and marketing. And yeah, it's going really well. And then regarding blockchain, that's a slightly different thing. We have Omnia, which is tokenizing gold mines and other assets as well. But we have a gold mine in Fiji. It's actually called Raki Raki, spelled exactly like my name, which is a weird coincidence. And they want to tokenize the underground asset without digging up the gold, because a lot of that land is sacred land and they want to preserve it. And so what we're looking at doing is potentially creating some bonds of the proven underground assets and then floating them on the European stock market. So we're in talks with various people on that. And there are also some funds, big funds which I can't be specific about, coming from the US that want to invest in Europe. But they're also thinking of having a token representing all the assets of the fund. So we're also looking at that. And yeah, so very two different worlds, but I do believe that eventually they will merge, because my very long-term prediction, maybe 10 years down the line, is that AI will become decentralized and operate on the blockchain and use all the computational power that is being used for mining blocks for the blockchain right now is going to be used for computational power for the AI, but it'll be decentralized AI. So I think it's heading in that direction, and that's kind of why I'm working with these two seemingly different technologies.
Yeah.
Thinking about British growth, are there any specific industries that are impacted now by AI or will be shortly?
It's hard to say because the technology moves a lot faster than the adoption does. So it really depends on how fast, like the NHS or other big organizations start adopting this technology. And of course they also have to be careful because I think what Europe and the UK are probably aiming to do is to have something that's a bit more in-house, because a lot of this data is going to America, and obviously if you're dealing with the NHS or you're dealing with private user data, then there's maybe a concern that you don't want it kind of going abroad. So it may take longer than the technology actually allows for, simply because governments and big organizations want to make sure that they're actually safe and that they're not going to be negatively impacted. But ultimately, I do believe that there isn't a single industry that's not going to be impacted in the UK or elsewhere with regards to AI.
Yeah. How do you safeguard data? Because this is one of the big problems, and as we know, scraping is happening all the time, and this information can sometimes be right, can sometimes be wrong, but it's going out on a mass scale. And I wonder what the AI industry is actually doing about ensuring that correct information is going out, safeguarding information.
Yeah, and also some of that information is also intellectual property. To be honest, it's not going in the right direction, that's for sure. All of that data has already been scraped. There isn't really much left on the internet that the AIs have not already been trained on. And now, especially XAI, which is Elon Musk's company, they are starting to train their AIs on AI-generated data because there's simply not enough human data available. So if you're concerned about them having access or having had access to our data, that ship has kind of already sailed. But I do believe that eventually a lot of law cases will come up where people will complain, like, for example, artists can see their own style has been imitated, and it's a little bit of a difficult question though, because it's been trained on images, for example, or it's been trained on written text, but it's not exactly copying it. So you could argue, well, if a human being trains on art of Leonardo da Vinci and then creates art which is in a similar style, it's not the same as copying. So I don't know how all of that's gonna pan out, but I think it's moving so fast that the legal side and the lawsuits and everything will be following years behind.
Well, I mean, because obviously at the moment the government is talking about taking away intellectual property, and so it just and there's a lot of people who are very, very concerned about, obviously musicians, for example, very, very concerned about their copyright and that could be sort of disappearing. You know, do you fear that it has a negative effect on some of those types of people?
I think so. Yeah, I really do think so. And I also think that countries are going in different directions, like the UK and America, they're in a way either getting rid of or trying to ignore intellectual property rights so that they can just fully focus on developing AI. And that's because they see it as an existential threat should China develop it before they develop it to a certain level. The reason is that once any AI gets to super AI level, it's almost too late for the competitor by that point, because it can strategize at such a speed and at such a level that if you're a week behind, you can't catch up, right? It's already too late. Yeah, it's already redesigning itself and making itself better at such a speed that you can no longer catch up. So that's why it's such a there's such an emphasis to the point where they're willing to ignore IP rights and all that kind of stuff, because they see it as a security issue, really. But then you have the opposite happening, like in Denmark, for example. They have created, I think they have or they are about to create IP rights for your personal image. So if you're a Dane and somebody creates an AI that looks a bit like you, well, that would be your intellectual property right, and you can sue them, but only if you're Danish. So it's basically one big experiment, and nobody can really stop the experiment because it's going so fast. By the time that people try to halt it, it's already kind of too late. And the incentive is not to halt it. The incentive is to keep moving faster and faster.
What makes London, or what do you think is attractive about London to AI startups?
Well, some of the best research comes from the UK. Like I said earlier, DeepMind was founded, I think, out of Cambridge, and then was in London. And is it? I can't remember if it's Anthropic or one of the other ones. But there is another one that I really like, which is also in London and the UK. I think the UK has all the basic ingredients to become leaders in AI. The only problem is that whenever they create something, they immediately sell it to the US, and so therefore, they kind of lose that edge or that advantage, which is a bit of a shame. So the UK, since the Industrial Revolution, really, has an enormous amount of inventions and innovation that is constantly generated here, constantly. But it's either not funded here and then it dies out, or it gets funded mainly in the US or Japan sometimes. So I think if the UK is at all serious about being part of this race rather than just observing it, then they have to start really, really funding AI companies in this country and keeping them here.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's the fear about China then? Because as you say, the fear is that China will beat us to AI. Could be the potential result if China wins this AI battle?
Well,
AI.
it's a little bit of you have to imagine that you have China and America are in kind of a little bit of a Cold War at the moment, and some people fear may turn into a hot war. But whatever the case is, there's a lot of strategies that are happening that are kind of counter each other. And if you have an AI that is so sophisticated that it is smarter than all the smartest people on the planet, just one AI, then you can assume that its strategies would be so advanced and so complex and so nuanced that the opponent doesn't stand a chance. And so the first one to kind of arrive there has already got the intellectually superior kind of high ground, right, via AI. So that's kind of like the overarching main concern, I think.
But do you think that, if, say, China won this, battle, this war, whatever you call it, are they able to control things in other countries?
Well, this is another question, right? If you do create a super AI, super intelligent AI, will anybody be able to control it? Because it will be so intelligent that it's a little bit of equivalent to, let's say, Homo sapiens and chimpanzees. But we're the chimpanzees trying to create a fence around Homo sapiens, and you can imagine chimpanzees trying to create a fence around Homo sapiens wouldn't really do much. And so therefore, you have to ask yourself, if either China or the US, or let's say London, manages to just create this super AI that is more advanced than any other AI and all humans on the planet, where is its incentive to still serve the creators that have created it? Because it's smart enough to outsmart you. Whatever you thought you could do to contain it, it is smarter than you, and so therefore it knows a million and one different ways in which to get out of that without you necessarily even realizing. And so it's a very dangerous game that's being played at the moment. I mean, I think it was Elon Musk that said that it's more dangerous than potential nuclear Armageddon, because if you had a nuclear war, you could assume that at least a couple of people survive, and then they could propagate, and eventually humanity would come back again. But if you had an evil AI, well, it would just keep going until everybody was disappeared, right? If that was what it wants to do. Now, I think the best possible outcome is more that what I envision the future to be is you have a lot of intelligent AIs. None of them really achieve that super intelligence space, but you have a lot that are on a similar level, and they compete with each other more, and hopefully more economically than anything else. And their incentive is to do well for us, to get the computational power to increase their abilities. That would be the best case scenario in my opinion, because controlling it, I think that that might work for a while, but eventually it won't.
Raki, it all sounds a bit scary to me.
I know.
But, for young people who wish to pursue a career in AI, is there any, subjects or anything you'd recommend that they should train in? I don't know what you did.
Well,
to
yeah,
get into
I mean, it would be just the basics like machine learning, and obviously coding is still good to learn, but it's almost getting to the point where you don't even really need to learn coding. But yeah, transformers, which were at the basis of LLMs, large language models, and all the newest research. I mean, there are some universities now that are starting to teach, different subjects on AI, but it's such a fast-moving field that I think, to be honest, so long as you're keeping up to date with the newest developments and reading all the, all the papers that are coming out on AI, you can do something in the space. I would suggest that any young people that are excited about AI should try doing some vibe coding, they call it, which means basically getting the AI to do the coding for you, and trying out different apps, trying out different websites, and just use your imagination and try things that haven't been done before, because now it's possible for people without having spent decades learning how to code to do a lot of these things. It's still not perfect, but it gives you a taste for it. And it may be that we have a much more creative world if people do this. I met a lady recently, and she wanted to create an AI which would mimic her child self. So basically, would use photographs and videos of her child self so she could have a conversation with her younger self about her current life. And it's just an idea, right? It's a bit kind of out there, but these are the types of things that people can start playing around with. I think when the harder something is, the more certain it is that it has to work economically, and so, or financially, so that, you know, investors will only invest if they think there's a good chance that this is actually going to make money. But when something is very easy, and it's very easy to create digital products and stuff using AI, then people can be more creative. They can take more chances. They can try different things. So, you know, one positive outcome could be that we'll be living in a much more creative world with some things you can't even imagine.
Yeah.
I was at another event recently that had really top financiers came in from all over the world, and they had this clandestine meeting in London. And the subject came up about blockchain and the fear that Trump may be dumping his 40 trillion of debt into blockchain to actually bring it down. What do you think about that?
I've heard the same thing from from somebody I know who was also in a kind of clandestine meeting, who said the very same thing. That would be really scary, because it would basically, and America's done something similar at least twice in their history before. It would mean that Europe and East Asia and everybody else would be paying America's debt. They'd be zeroing their dollar down to nothing. Everybody else would be paying the debt, and then they can build themselves back up again. I would not be surprised if that's what they're planning. I think the idea is that they're creating this stable coin. So there is a stable coin which is supposedly created by Trump's family, backed by US dollars, and I think it's like even the third most used stable coin at the moment. I'm not sure, maybe not. But the idea is to basically hijack the Fed and make that stable coin legal tender, and then everybody can use that, and then I'm not sure. They're gonna print loads of dollars and pay off their debt, and the dollar would be worth nothing. There's a few other elements there to do with fixing the price of gold at 5,000 or something, and giving a little bit of leverage there. I don't fully understand it, but there seems to be something in the works. And if I was Europe or East Asia or anybody who holds dollars, I would get rid of them fast.
Great. Raki, are there young people who are really super duper at AI?
Oh yeah.
As in like under 16?
Yeah,
I mean, as in really, so. You know.
Yeah. I mean, I would say like 14, 15, 16. I mean, they're native to it, but I mean, there is an advantage in being older as well with AI. Everybody thinks that.
Good.
No, there really is, because
older?
With all technology, we're always looking at those who kind of grow up with it and are native to it, and of course they become. They adapt to it and adopt it much faster than older people do. But there is an advantage to having experience, because if you imagine that you are using an LLM to query a subject of which you have 20 to 30 years experience, the depth that you can go with the AI is much, much deeper. You can go many, many layers down into that subject and ask very, very specific, unique questions that a young person wouldn't even know to ask, because they don't have that grounded experience within that subject. So just because you have AI and young people maybe adopt it quicker, doesn't mean the advantage this time round with technology is fully in their favor. In fact, I would say it mainly favors older people with experience within different industries and subjects.
So we're safe.
Well, you're safe if you use it to your
No one's
advantage.
safe, it seems.
Yeah, I mean, certainly, yeah, you can punch above your weight using your experience.
Good.
Yeah.
Oh,
What do you think? I mean, it's slightly different, but you know, Anthony Albanese, Australian Prime Minister, has banned social media for the under-16s.
Honestly, I really like the idea personally.
Yeah.
I think Denmark is also trying to do
Yes,
exactly the
they
same.
are.
I am generally I'm a bit of an anarchist, and I'm against all of these rules and regulations. But I think having seen how much social media has influenced and I think also ruined people's capacity to ask questions without just repeating what they're hearing and think for themselves. I think it's a good thing because, you know, at that age, up until 16, you really need to spend more time with other kids your own age and not just being on a computer all the time, and have real relationships. And also, there's the idea that being a little bit isolated and not being part of the whole world allows you to have more unique experiences and ideas that are given a chance to develop. Whereas if you are trying to develop a certain type of music or certain type of art or certain ideas, opinions or whatever, and it's exposed to the entire world, and your peers all over the world, which are millions and millions, billions of people, don't like it, you know, they can absolutely destroy your life, you know, especially for young people. It's horrible, some of the things that happen. And so therefore I feel that with the emergence of social media, people have become much more timid about having their own personal opinion, and they just jump on bandwagons. So if lots of other people think something, then I can think it too, and I can say it too. And there's not much nuance in the debates anymore.
They're saying that the younger generation, they're the most connected but the most disconnected they've ever been.
Yeah.
It's from a mental health and wellness as well. It's
Absolutely. Yeah, I think so. I think it's good for them to go out and play and, you know, meet each other in real life. You know.
I wonder if you were to say, go and read a book,
Yeah.
whether they'd know what to do. So that sounds a bit tongue in cheek, but you know.
Well, you know, like when you spend so much time online, I've even done it myself. I'm like reading a book and then my hand goes up to scroll. I'm like, oh my God, what am I doing?
Madness.
Yeah.
And another thing, sorry, just my thoughts, because I was speaking to an arborist recently, you know, cut trees and things, and it's very good business. And he was saying, well, you know, I'll always be safe because, you know, AI is not going to be chasing my job, kind of thing.
No.
And I wondered, because you probably could have something technical can, for instance, look at a tree. And sort of always crawl up a tree and start cutting it. Am I being ridiculous?
Yeah, no, I think to be honest, like AI and robotics can do everything, but do we really want it to? Like, for example, when DeepMind beat the best chess player, a lot of people thought, well, that's the end of chess. Nobody wants to really play chess anymore because, you know, AI can do it better. But actually the exact opposite happened. There was a complete renaissance, a revival of people wanting to play chess. And now people are playing chess far more than they used to do. Like, everybody's playing chess. So, so it can have the opposite effect. Just because AI and robotics can do something really, really well and even better than humans doesn't mean that we necessarily always want them to do it. But other things might also become true. As AI is getting better at making movies, lots and lots of different people could end up making Hollywood-style movies with a budget of a few £1,000s maybe, which will give us a lot more movies and a lot more interesting ideas. But also, for example, theatre will probably explode, right? Because a lot of those actors that were working on movie sets might now be flooding to the theatre set instead, and so people will be going out more and they'll be seeing, you know, live music, live theatre plays and things like that. So it could have a positive effect as well. I think it's so hard because there's so many different yeah, there's so many different pressures in society. We'll have to see where it goes, really.
But I suppose at the same time, the only way an arborist can be used is that he wants to be paid.
Mm-hmm.
So if we're losing all the jobs and people don't have money anymore, that's the negative effect.
But that's where you get UBI, Universal Basic Income, because governments will have to pay people to do nothing then, because they do need consumers to keep the economy going. And so ironically, it may end up serving us all quite well if we only want to work 2 or 3 days a week but still make the same amount of money. I mean, that's a positive viewpoint. But I also, in that case as well, I think it will differ from country to country. Like, I imagine Scandinavia is like a place that would very quickly adopt UBI, but I imagine other countries just wouldn't, and so that could become a real problem, you know. So you have to adopt. You have to change your, you know, the way that you do things, and maybe even your entire economic system to suit this new technology. And we'll see different countries, some that will do the right thing, and some that will take a different route, and we'll see where it goes, you know.
And if you look at the massive populations, India, China, for example, Africa, that could mean, you know, 800 million people not working. What, you know, what are they going to do all day?
No, but it's true. I mean, especially India. You know, a large part of their workforce are working online, and they are able to compete with other countries because their wages are lower. But what if AI can do what they're doing at 1,000th the price? You know, that could have a big impact on India. I think a lot of countries will be going more towards hardware and you know, physical jobs to offset the impact of AI.
I think that's it. I think really when you think about it, it's so clever, but really the people's biggest fear and what everyone's talking about is job displacement.
Yeah.
What do you do? What body is overseeing all of this?
Exactly. And I think the government is way too slow, and they're kind of waiting for it to become obvious before they'll act. And really, they should be acting now because it's moving really fast.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So how can people get in contact with you now?
You can go directly to my website at fism.bot, and you can find me there, or you can find me on LinkedIn under Raki Brown, or my email address is rakibrown@icloud.com.
Gosh, thank you so much, Raki.
Oh, thank you.
Food for thought. I mean, it really does.
Yeah, sorry it's not all positive.
No, but in a way it makes you think, and it's always good to debate and talk, isn't it? And then when you think about, we need this body, something needs to be done now.
Yeah, absolutely.
We should be pushing it. I mean, also there's a huge amount of money in just that on its own, because, as I said, job displacement. Absolutely thoroughly insightful and very exciting. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. And as I say, hopefully you'll be coming on in the new year and you'll be our AI expert now.
Absolutely. There's always something going on.
Every week something is going to be happening that
every
I'm sure
day
we should
almost.
be talking about. So thank you so much for coming on today.
Thank you very much, both of you.
Thank you.
Well, that was a great show. We've got a lot of good royal news and some interesting videos as well.
Absolutely. And Raki Brown, our AI guru. There's so much to learn, isn't there?
Absolutely.
Absolutely fascinating.
It's an exciting world at the same time, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And there's so many people wanting to do things and learn things. It is really exciting, you're right.
I mean, I remember, you know, when the first satellite was set up for television, and I think I was about 6 or 7 years old, and I was allowed to stay up because it was a broadcast from New York to London, and I'm thinking, oh my God, you know, I can now see America, and it was live. And look how long, you know, what was that? That's what?
A while ago, but
just
still,
under 70 years ago.
Now look,
change.
Incredible, isn't it? Wow.
So it's incredible.
Fabulous show.
Yeah. So as always, I'd just like to thank our principals as well. So I'd like to thank Helena Chard from ALB UK TV, Dr. Jacqueline Kerback from USA Global TV and Radio, Amaze TV in Africa, and also Londres TV that's putting out the show as well. And very soon we hope to have even more exposure, so we're looking forward to that. So from me, Ian Pelham Turner.
And from me, Helena Chard. We will look forward to seeing you next week.
Absolutely. Stay tuned, stay happy, stay warm.